Hi. Hi, and welcome back. This is day 4 of the advent of code test-driven development with phpspec and PHP. And I've got my special guest, Joey, back, my oldest daughter. She's joining again.
Hi.
So today we're going to go over how to do day 4, the ideal stocking stuffer. So according to the story, Santa needs help mining advent coins, which are similar to bitcoins. So we're going to do MD5 hashes with a key that we start out with, uh, and we're going to start appending numbers to that key until we find a hash that starts with 5 zeros. So if my secret key was ABCDEF, then we would have to go through 609,043 hashes until we found ABCDEF 609043, which starts with 5 zeros. So my secret key is PQ, or if my secret key was PQRSTV, then we'd have to go through 1,048,970 hashes before we found one that starts with 5 zeros. So we have my key right here is IWRUPVQB, and we're going to build off of that. So Joey, do you know what a hash is?
No.
So a hash is a special function that allows us to take in input and give back output, with the idea being that it's not reversible. We wouldn't be able to figure out how we got the output just by looking at it.
Okay.
So if we go, let's try a couple out real quick. So if we go in here in the command line, we'll say let's run PHP, and we're going to run MD5 on the word password, right? Now, MD5 on passwords is a really bad idea because it's really insecure, and a lot of people have already kind of run a lot of these, or they already know them. But we get back this string here. It starts with 5F4, and it's 32 characters long. But I think it's pretty safe to say that looking at that, you wouldn't probably be able to tell that that was password, right?
Yeah.
But if we do another one, right, let's say Joey, we get a totally different hash. Like pretty much all of the characters have changed, or all of them have changed. So we might think, well, that's a pretty good way to do stuff, but it's really not that great, because if we take this, we go and jump into Google, and we search for this, it turns out that some people have already hashed the word Joey. So there's these things called rainbow tables, where they just ran through and hashed all sorts of passwords and all sorts of words and phrases and everything else. But we're not using this puzzle for passwords. We're using it for learning how to program. So it's okay that we can use MD5 right now. So let's get started. The idea we've got here, and Joey and I came up with this earlier, is we're going to have a generator that will come up with the combination of the puzzle input, this one right here, and then it's going to start, each time we loop through the generator, it's going to tack on the next number onto the generator. And then we'll have a transform class that's going to be used to pretty much just run MD5 on the input, and the output of that is going to be a hash. And then we're going to also build a validator, and the validator is going to run, or it's going to return a true and say it's valid if our hash starts with 5 zeros. And so we'll put all of that into a loop, which will run until we get back a valid hash, which will be the one that has our collision that starts with 0, 0, 0, 0. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. So let's build our driver. That's our puzzle. So we'll do phpspec describe day 4 puzzle 1. All right. And we'll run it, and it'll generate puzzle 1 for us. So we've now got a little bit of code, and we're going to make our invoke function. And our invoke function will have our key, and the key is going to be different for everybody, but for mine, this is the key. We'll put that in there. And now I want to send that key into my generator. So we'll do, let's say generator, we'll call it generator equals new generator. We'll call it new, what do we call these? Advent coins? Yeah, advent coin. We're going to call it an advent coin generator. Advent coin generator. And we'll pass in the key. So it's going to have a function inside there that will use that key, that we can use that function as a generator, an actual generator like we did in the last video, and loop over it forever until we decide to stop.
Okay.
All right. And then we need a transformer, and our transformer is going to be a new MD5 transformer. And this is a little bit overkill because we could probably just run a function here, but we'll go ahead and make a transformer for it. It should be pretty simple. And we're going to have a validator, and that's going to be a new, we'll call it a collision validator. And we'll pass in what we want to collide. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to do for each. No, we're not going to do a for each. We're going to do a while. Okay, so we'll do while generator. What do we want to call it? Generate. I guess candidate coin or something like that.
Okay.
Coin. So that's going to give us back our candidate coin, but we want to see if it's valid. So while not valid, generate candidate coin. Let me do this again. So let's do candidate coin equals generator and we'll say for each candidate coin as I don't know, what do we call this, coin or something? Why not? If validator is valid coin, then we want to break. So break is going to kick us out of the for loop, right? Because the generator is going to go on forever and ever and ever. And
until it finds it.
Yeah, the generator by itself will go on forever and ever, but we're gonna kick out of the loop that's looping over the generator when we find a valid coin, and that'll kick us back out to here, and we'll do echo valid coin found, and our valid coin is going to be coin. All right, unless I've grossly misplanned it, that should be good.
That's the whole thing?
Well, this is going to be what we want to do here. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Is I forgot to transform the thing. I need to transform it. So it's like, this is gray. It shouldn't be gray. Gray means it's not being used. So we'll do hash is equal to transform coin, and then we actually want to make sure that the hash is valid, right? So the hash is what should have that collision of 5 zeros, right? Okay, and if we do that, we find out that the valid coin is found. So let's build our validator. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay, so phpspec describe day for collision validator. All right, and we'll run it. And we'll run just spec for day 4 right now. There's my collision validator. All right. So open that one up. There's my class that it generated, and here's my spec. So we need to have, according to our puzzle, we want to have an is valid, right? And it's first we're going to take in a parameter. So let's do that. All right. So do public function. It should take a collision string. That sound good?
Yep.
All right. So this be constructed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be anything right now. We just want it to tell us to generate the construct.
Okay.
But it doesn't, so we need to make a let. Right? So function, do a public function, let this be constructed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What's the difference between public function and function?
There's not really any difference. I usually like to put public function in there. That's a good question, but without it on there, it means public. But I like to be explicit and put public or private or protected on everything. When phpspec generates it, though, it doesn't put that public in there by default. So you notice all the ones I created had it, but theirs didn't. So it doesn't have to be there, but I like to have it there just to be consistent. All right, so it's asking to build our construct function, so we'll build that. And we'll go back to our collision validator. What did it build? Puzzle 1. I put the spec in the wrong place, I think. Dagnabbit. All right, so let's get rid of this and put it in the collision validator spec. And get rid of this. Put it in the collision validator spec. I put it in the wrong place.
Oh no.
Gotta watch for me, Joe. Alright, so that's there. We'll get rid of our spec, put it back to where it was. We'll get rid of our constructor because we don't need it in puzzle 1. Alright, now let's try it again. That's the right one. Collision validator construct. Alright, collision validator spec and collision validator. Let's get rid of puzzle spec for now. And we'll call this our collision string. Sound good?
Yep.
Alright, we'll have it generate and initialize the fields, and we now have a collision validator. Now, we want to make sure that whatever we pass in as our collision is valid if our string starts with those characters, and it's not valid if it doesn't start with those characters.
Okay.
Sound good? So it is valid if string starts with collision string, right? So we've got, don't need this one anymore. So we're going to start out with 0, 0, 0, 0, right? So that's our collision string, and we'll say my string is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by some random junk, right? Random junk, whatever that may be, right? And we'll say this is valid. My string should be true. Make sense? And we'll run it. And it says, "You want to create it?" Sure, why not? So what's the least amount of work we can do to make this thing valid? So if we're expecting this valid on my string to be true, what's the least amount of work we can do? What if we just say it's true? That's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, it works. We're done, right?
Yeah.
No, we're not. Because we only have one test, right? We need to make sure that it's not valid if it starts with something else, right? Because otherwise it's pretty useless. So it is not valid if it does not start with collision string. Make sense? is we want it to be a true value or a false value based on whether or not it's valid, right? So let's say my string equals banana followed by some other stuff that we don't care about, right? So if we have a string that starts with banana, then it clearly doesn't start with 5 zeros, right? So we shouldn't get back true anymore, right? So we'll do my string should be false. So that's a non-valid hash. Let's run it again, and it fails, which is what we want. So go back to the collision validator, and now we need to actually do some real work, right? Okay, so we need to find out if the string starts with the collision string. Okay, so what we can do is we can say return stirpos, and haystack is the thing that we're looking in. So what stirpos is going to do is it's going to tell us where, like if it finds the collision string somewhere in there, it's going to give us back a number that says what position it starts with. So the very, very, very first position is going to be a 0, right? If it doesn't, then it's going to say false. Okay, and we only care if it starts at the very beginning. Right? Anywhere else, so anything other than an actual 0, we don't want, right? So haystack is what we're looking for. We've got haystack and needle, and haystack is the thing we find the needle in, right? So we're going to look for it in string, and what we're going to look for in the string is this collision string, right? So if it's 0, then we're good. If it's anything other than 0, then it's not valid. Does that make sense?
Is there a difference between equals equals or in equals equals equals?
Yeah, and that's a really important thing in PHP. So PHP will turn values into other kinds of values sometimes. So a 0 is equal to false, which means if we just did equal 0, then if it didn't find it at all, it would say it was valid. If it found it and it was the very first thing, it would say it was valid. If it found it but it was somewhere other than the very first thing, then it would say it was not valid, right? So that doesn't work because we don't want it to not find it at all and say, oh yeah, that's totally fine. So in this case, I'm putting in triple equals to say 0 is not the same as false in this. 0 is the same as 0. So if it's anything other than 0, then it's not valid. It's not a collision.
Okay.
Okay, so that is an excellent question, and we definitely want to make sure we get that one correct. And there we go. So that's good. So do you want to see a test to show what I'm talking about here? All right, so I'm going to take out 0. I'm going to take it out right there. We've only got the one test, and I run it again, and it says it's valid if it does not start, or it's not valid if it does not start with the collision string. We expected false, but we got true, right? So this is, we didn't find that thing at all in this, but it said it was valid. So that equals is very, very important.
Okay.
See, that makes sense? All right, so we now have our validator. That was pretty simple, right? And now we want to do our transformer, right? So our transformer, we're gonna create this MD5 transformer. Boop. You want to do the transformer next?
Sure.
All right. So we'll do phpspec describe day 4. What did I do? I did not copy what I thought I copied. Let's try that again. phpspec describe day 4 MD5 transformer. Okay, and transformer has a transform in it. So let's run it. All right. So now we have a spec, and we have a transformer class. Let's get rid of the collision validator. We're done with that for now. So our spec is going to tell us about what it should do, right? So pretty simple one. We'll say it should hash. We'll say Joey. correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had a little bit of code there. Let's run it again. And we'll run echo MD5. Actually, you know what? I might be able to, I'll just do it in here. Echo MD5 Joey. Okay? So we'll say this transform Joey should be this thing. Right? And let's do one more just to make sure. We'll do this transform lowercase Joey. That should be called, just should be. And we'll see what that one's going to be.
They're much different.
Yeah, they are. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, you just change the case and it's way different.
Yeah. Alright, so there's our test. Let's run it. And it says we'll create transform. Sure, why not? So we'll go over, we've got our transform, we've got our string. And to make this test pass, we do return MD5 string. Really, really simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Done. Guess what? We're done with the transformer. That was it. That's all we got to do. So now we need to do our generator. And this is the part where I hope we don't mess it up. Okay, so our generator was called Advent Coin Generator. We'll do phpspec describe day for Advent Coin Generator, and we'll run it, and it'll generate it for us. So let's get rid of our transformer because our transformer is no longer needed for right now. And we've got our spec for Advent Coin Generator, and there we go. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So our Advent Coin Generator, we need it to take in our key, right? And that was right there is our key. So we'll do, and actually we'll go over here. So our key, we'll use that for our first one. So secret key is ABCDEF. And we'll go to the spec, and we'll say...
So even if your password was like X, it would still be 32 characters long?
Yep. Yeah, everything that you're going to hash through MD5 will come out as 32 characters. And it's 32 characters of hex, right? So it's 0 through 9 and A through F are the only characters that will ever show up. So you won't see any like P's or Q's or M's or whatever.
And it's got enough for... there's enough combinations for anything you'll ever type?
Nope. And that's what is called a collision, right? Because essentially, at some point, you're going to find two different words or strings that both hash to the same thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So we've got Joey, and that hash to whatever we put in. But there's lots of other things out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are, but there's other things out there that would hash through that same algorithm and come out with the exact same output, right?
Yeah.
So that means if you used MD5 as the way to store your passwords for a website, and somebody else had a different word that wasn't Joey, and let's say your password was Joey, then they could type in that word, and they'd be able to log in as your account because the computer wouldn't know that that isn't your password.
It would only know that as long as it matches with the hash.
Exactly. So that's one of the big problems with MD5 is that it's there's collisions with it. It can find
More than one thing that match.
yeah, more than one thing that can match, right? Because obviously there's more things that are bigger
Yeah.
than 32, right? So
many different combinations.
yeah. But yeah, good job. All right, let's put in a public because I want to have public. We'll run it, and we'll create our constructor. We'll go back into our generator, and we'll say this is our key, and make some fields for me. All right, so now we have our Advent Coin Generator, and we want to make a function inside of our class that's a generator,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm using it right here as the generator, so it's going to actually be a magic invoke, right? So we'll do a new function, implement invoke, right? Look, they have a template that has that messed up in there too. All right, so inside of our invoke, we want an infinite loop, right? Because
Mhm.
we want to continue to generate these things until we found our collision, right?
And then would you break?
Yeah, then we'll stop calling back in, and we'll stop our program, right?
Uh-huh.
So we don't go back to the generator. If we went back to the generator would keep generating, but we're going to stop the program to make it quit. And if we look back here, you can see this break is what's going to stop our program. It's going to kick out of that for each loop. So otherwise that for each loop is an infinite loop as well if we make an infinite generator. So we have our counter, and we're going to start with 1. And we're going to make a string with our key plus the counter, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do string equals this key, and then we're going to push, or we're going to tack on counter, okay?
Okay.
And now we want to yield that string, so that means we're going to send it back out, and then the next time we come back, we want to increment the counter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't an infinite loop. This will do it just one time. But what we can do is we can say while true, which means keep doing this as long as whatever's in these parentheses is true,
Mm-hmm.
which is a long time, right? Because true is not going to be anything else other than true.
Yeah.
So now we've got our invoke, we've got our counter, we've got our true, so it's going to increment these things, and each time it's going to kick back out a new value. And I just wrote all of that without a test. That was silly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you know what? Let's get rid of this. Bye. And let's make a test, because this is the whole point, right? Test-driven development. Okay, so we're going to say it will generate a sequence of candidate coins or something, right? Sure. So we're going to have it be built. We're going to say generator equals this, and I'm going to call invoke directly because I'm not sure how the wrapper is going to work with that. So we'll call invoke, and we're going to do generator current, and then we're going to say this. Nope, not this. I'm going to say generator next should be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1. Right? And then we'll paste that in there. Should be 2. Should be 3. Let's see if that works. I hope it does. Well, it won't work yet, right? We don't have a thing. So now we'll pretend that I'm going to type really fast. Blurp. Oh no. Let's paste that in. Look how fast I typed. That was so fast.
That was amazing.
That was super fast. All right, let's see if it works. All right, we'll generate, but instead we got back null.
Why is that?
Why is that? Let's see why that is. All right, so generator next should be that. I think we're running into weird things with generators again, Joey.
Oh no.
So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F. Well, it shouldn't be G for 1. That's wrong, but that's not why we're failing. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, 1, 2, and 3. And of course this is still failing. And generator next should be that. So if I look back yesterday, right, we had a generator in our, where was it? We did a generator, didn't we?
Yeah.
What was it?
It should have.
Was it in the elf?
I thought so.
Yeah, it was in the elf. So the get Santa does a yield Santa. Did we test
Oh yeah,
that one?
didn't you do something like It was like continue.
Oh, I didn't test it directly. So I just tested that it has to get this stuff in order. Alright, so let me figure out how to get this to work how it should. So we get our generator, and then we want to run invoke on it. Let's see what happens with our runner. Our runner for day for puzzle 1. Alright, so we got 3, 4, 6, 3, 8, 6. 3, 4, 6, 3, 8, 6. So we're getting the right answer. So our code is working. It's just our test is messed up, right? So
And why
we
didn't
build
it do?
invoke.
Why didn't it do the beginning? Is that because that's the letters that you already know?
Yeah, so I can make it return the data in a slightly different way. So I've got my candidate coin is coming out of the generator, and our collision validator's there. Candidate coin found. How can we get that out? We've got our key for the
But that
advent coin
doesn't
generator.
that doesn't start with 5 zeros.
No, it doesn't, but the hash of it does. So check this out. So if I copy this, do php-a, and we'll do echo md5 that. That starts with 5 zeros.
So is that the answer to the problem?
Well, the answer was 346386. So they gave us the key, we got up to the answer, and then we showed that, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense? Alright, so we got that. You know what, for right now, and I think maybe we'll follow up with another video later on this. I'll figure out how to do this. I don't know how to do it right now, and I don't want to have people sit here and watch me figure out how to test a generator properly. So I'm going to comment that out, which I know kind of sucks, but whatever. Exit out and run spec. Everything should be working. Good. And I may just do this after the video here and figure out how to test the sequence. But the point is, right now we have a working bit of code. Right. Now the neat thing is, and I think on this one, Joey, we're just going to go ahead and do part 2 right now.
Okay.
Because we're not, it's not super long yet. But part 2 is so similar, right? So we'll have.
All you have to do is add another 0.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to make phpspec describe spec day 5 and run. And now I'm going to take my puzzle 1 and I'm going to copy this invoke, and we're going to go over to puzzle 2. Where is puzzle 2? What in the world did I generate? Something stupid, that's what I generated. Alright, day 4, puzzle 2. What am I running? Oh my word. Help me, Joey. I'm messing up all the things.
I don't know how to.
Alright, we're going to describe it, then we're going to run it, then it'll generate it. Now it'll be there, along with some other junk that we stuck in place, or that I stuck in place. But you're supposed to help me here. Come on. Alright, so we've got our public invoke. The only thing we got to do, because we made our validator be configurable, is we go and say 0000000, right? So it starts with the same key, same everything, and now we just need to run it. Now this one's going to take a little bit longer. Yeah, this will be, when we run it, it'll be all done. So the number we're looking for, if we get it right, is this one. So I'm going to paste.
So it's going to take a while to.
I'm going to paste that in there, and we should see the output be something like the valid coin found IWRUPVQB9958218. That's what should come out here. So it's still running. It's taking a while. Because like that last one we did, what did we get? We got up to, we ran 346,000 keys.
No, we have to have 99.
Yeah, now it's going to run like 3 times as many, so it's going to be about 3 times as long as the last one took. So it'll take just a minute. Hopefully it'll be done here pretty quick. But we got 6. Yeah, we got 6 there. It's running. Hopefully it'll be done soon. Runnity, runnity, run. There it is. And look at that. We have 9958218, which matches the thing that I pasted. So this one works also for that. And all we did different
was added another 0.
Added a 0.
And wait.
And wait longer, yeah. Because it took a long time, right?
Yeah.
So if you were using MD5 to secure your website and somebody wanted to wait long enough, they could probably run through a big dictionary of a bunch of passwords and figure out all of them, and then just look up and see, oh, which one matches, right?
Yeah.
So, but we can talk about password security and all that later. But for now, that's it for day 4, puzzle 1 and puzzle 2. And I'm going to spend some time here off the video to try and figure out what I can do to test the generators. And if it's interesting, then I will post another video, and if it's not, then I'll just put that test code onto the GitHub repository. So if you're not familiar yet, which probably should be if you've been watching some of these, I've got dstocto Advent of Code 2015, and it's been linked, I think, in the descriptions of at least a few of the YouTube videos. But every time we do a new set of code, I'm pushing this up there. So we just did day 3, parts 1 and 2 about an hour ago, and we'll put day 4 up here shortly. And you can get a link to all the videos down here from the GitHub too. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.